I'm actually going to start the program with the Angels. You see, never say that Dodger Jim is not fair and objective. Never say that Dodger Jim is not willing to talk Angels when they deserve it. And today, the Angels actually deserve it. Now, not because they won, because, of course, they didn't. But they were part of an epic showdown in the Bronx last night. You can even call it a historic showdown, actually, because two future first ballot, no doubt, Hall of Famers stood right there in the middle of the ring last night, and they were trading massive haymakers. They were like Blades and Hokit out there, swinging on each other, right in the middle of the cage. Haymakers, not backing up, landing, doing serious damage. I mean, that right there was Trout and Judge last night at the stadium, letting the hands go, eating punches, both, because both Trout and Judge had 2 homers each in a game last night, which is something that has almost never, ever happened in baseball history. This is why I call it historic. Only one other time have multiple 3-time MVPs hit multiple home runs in the same game. At OPTA stats. Quote, tonight, Aaron Judge and Mike Trout each hit 2 home runs. The second time in MLB history where 2 3-time MVPs each hit multiple home runs in the same game. The first was June 21st, 1956, when Stan Musial and Roy Campanella each hit 2 homers. So is that company any good? Not even Maris and Mantle did it, because as amazing as Maris was, he only won the MVP twice. So that's the kind of rarefied air that we're talking about when it came to last night. This was one of the rarest displays of all-time greatness ever. And it's only fitting that the game ended with the Yankees winning on a walk-off wild pitch. No. Better put this way. It's only fitting that the game ended with the Angels losing on a walk-off wild pitch. Because that right there is just the story of the Angels in the Mike Trout era, right? Including the brief Shohei and Trout era. It doesn't matter what the superstars do. The rest of the Angels will find a way to ruin it. It doesn't matter how amazing these dudes are. The Angels will find a way to lose it. And it brings me no pleasure to say that as a former season ticket holder of the Angels. But as a former season ticket holder of the Angels, unfortunately, I know this to be true. I witnessed it firsthand. But even I thought for a split second that maybe for at least one night, it might be different. One April night, one meaningless night, it was going to be different. Or so I thought. I mean, when Trout responded to Judge's second homer in the 6th by doing this, I thought for one night it might be different.
And there goes the ball. Trout sends one deep into the night. He's done it again. Mike Trout with his second home run. An absolute blast. And at long last, the Angels have taken the lead.
At long last, the Angels have taken the lead. At long last, Mike Trout did something amazing, and it was going to count for something, right? If you didn't know any better, you would think that was an enormous moment for the Angels. But if you do know the Angels, then you definitely could have anticipated and, in fact, expected what happened next. Right down to the Angels closer grabbing his head in shock.
Weeks since Romano's pitched. Uh-oh.
Oh, no. Going back again.
Not him. No.
Not him. His second home run of the game. A 2-run shot.
Oh, no. Not him. Not him. Oh, he's right. Yo, Romano, way to make that Trout home run stand up for all of 2 batters. Dude couldn't even get an out. Couldn't even get an out before he blew that game. Trout goes deep, gives the Angels a 2-run lead, and then the Angel closer acts like it's some kind of challenge to see how fast he can give that lead right back. Of course, that Grisham homer only tied the game. But nobody watching or listening at this point should be wondering how that game ends, because of course it ended on a walk-off, and a walk-off wild pitch at that.
Fastball. He's been on the inner half this whole at bat.
Not him.
3-2.
Oh!
Oh, no. It's Caballero. And the Yankees walk it off. They win this one 11-10. Oh, what a game here in the Bronx. And what a way to snap a 5-game losing streak.
Oh, then there's that. They snapped a 5-game losing streak on a walk-off wild pitch. The Angels, just what the Yankees ordered. Good job, good effort. Way to Angels. Angels. Nice block there, too. Catch. And Romano, way to get an out, bro. Oh, wait, you didn't get any outs. Whoops. What a disgusting way for an all-time classic regular season game to end. But also, what a ridiculously fitting way for this Angel game to end. An extremely Mike Trout way for this game to end. Even though Trout had nothing to do with blowing it. But then that's the point, right? I'm not trying to get on this guy who was part of making history after hitting 2 home runs at Yankee Stadium last night. I'm just pointing out that was... Sorry about that, yo. That was just another example of a microcosm of his entire career. Another legendary performance. And once again, nothing to show for it. Except for another big, fat L. Now, all of that said, do not feel badly for Trout. For 2 reasons. Number 1, he is more than used to this. Number 2, and more importantly, he chose this. He is exactly where he wants to be. People want to scream and yell that this guy should demand a trade right away. Listen, he could have left any number of times to chase that ring, to play on that big stage, in a major market, under the bright lights, where he could be the guy on a super team. You know, like his former teammate Shohei did. And is all those things are important to Shohei. All of them. But none of them are really that important to Trout. Yes, he wants to win. Yes, he's competitive. Sure, he wants to be a champion. But he wasn't willing to sacrifice everything he loves about plying his trade down here and outside of all those demands and outside of all those pressures and outside of that media spotlight. He didn't want that stuff. He didn't ask for that stuff. Shohei did. Shohei wanted it. But Trout never did. So don't feel badly for him. He's getting exactly what he signed up for. He's getting exactly what he asked for. And I don't think he's that unhappy about it. He wants to be here. Newsflash, the ring may be the thing for many, but it's not the most important thing to all. It's just not. Not even to some superstars. Shohei wanted that above all else. That's why he jumped off this sinking ship down here. Trout wants to win, but he's not going to sacrifice a life that he loves to go chase a ring for a life that he doesn't want. Trout is a different cat, and he and Shohei are totally different dudes. Trout, in a way, is kind of like the anti-Shohei. Shohei did bust out. He went straight to the spotlight and the pressure and immediately delivered back-to-back World Series. Trout didn't want that spotlight. He never has. Or necessarily the pressure or attention or scrutiny that comes along with it. No judgment. That's fine. But don't say that poor Mike Trout, they owe him. They need to move him. He should demand a trade. Free Mike Trout. Free Mike Trout. He never asked for a trade, and he never will. It's why he still finds himself in this ridiculous losing situation. You know, like he found himself in last night. Even though he did everything in his power to get them a win. Like I said, a microcosm of his career. Amazing player. But on a team that will always come up short. Again, I take no pleasure in bashing the Angels, even if I am Dodger Jim. Just don't tell me how badly you feel for this guy and that he should demand a trade, because this is exactly what he asked for and what he signed up for. And he hasn't asked for a trade, nor is he ever going to ask for a trade. Hey, by the way, since Dodger Jim is in the house, hey, how is buying a championship going for the Mets? You know, since the Dodgers bought theirs, and it's so easy to buy a ring. All you have to do is chip off the cash. How's that going for the Mets? I'll answer, horribly. They have lost 6 in a row. They have not scored a run in 20 innings. And they just made Justin Robleski look like Randy freaking Johnson last night.
Don't get high face and don't talk back to me, all right?
Forget buying a championship. The Mets can't buy a win. Forget buying a win. The Mets can't buy a run, which is why the New York media is already trying to hot seat the Mets manager on April 14th. So tell me once again, geniuses, how easy is it to buy a championship? Why is it so easy for the Dodgers to buy a championship, but impossible for the Mets? It really makes you wonder, does it? Does it not? Sincerely, Dodger Jim.